Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marques show. I'm your host, Marques Ogden. On today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Keith Potter. And you know what? Let's bring him on down. How you doing today, Keith?
I'm doing excellent, Marcus. I hope you are.
I am, my friend. Thank you for joining. Everybody, Keith is a great friend. I train his son, Nathan, in football. Great young man, great offensive lineman. We train every Sunday, and he's now a sponsor of our podcast. He's a great guy. Looking forward to this amazing interview. First question, Keith. What does the word authentic slash authenticity mean to you?
It's a good question. I'll try not to make too long of an answer, but I think, today everybody is focused on their brand, whether that's business brand or personal brand. There's a lot of competition out there to make sure you've got a solid brand, just like yourself. But to me, I think making decisions based on your internal beliefs or maybe your internal compass, rather than what somebody wants to hear, is really, to me, what would come across as authentic. I think people perceive authenticity as what somebody perceives as of you, which is true to a degree, but I think it's your core beliefs, right? And I think it's hard, whether it's in family or business or friendship. Sometimes the hard truths are the hard truths, and you have to make some hard decisions. But I think at the end of the day, you personally have to believe in what you're doing and why you're doing it. To me, that's the authenticity is your belief of what you're doing, not necessarily somebody's perception of what you're doing.
You know what, Keith? I always tell people authenticity is being who you are in the moment, knowing that the moment's going to change. But it
Yeah.
comes back to you, right? You
Yeah.
have to be who you are. You can't do things or try to be someone that others, quote unquote, want you to be. Because doing that, you end up doing yourself a disjustice and or injustice in that regard, and that's not how you should live your life. So Keith, please tell us more, a little bit about your backstory and then your awesome company and the work you all do to help your clients.
Yeah, a little personal background. So, born and raised in New Jersey. I live in North Carolina now. Been with my wife for close to 30 years now. Married for 24 coming up. We've got two kids. I got a daughter at UNC Wilmington. She's crushing it. And as you mentioned, my son Nathan, he is in high school right now as a junior, and he does football and actually does track as well, does shot and disc pretty well. So we've been in North Carolina since 2002, migrated out of New York, New Jersey. Got a lot of stories behind that and the why around 9/11. I was part of that situation, and we were happy. We're happy with North Carolina. We love it here, raising a good family. And, part of that journey and my tenure in my professional career kind of took me through a lot of different roles, but primarily based in technology, whether that's program management, product management, developer, solution engineer. Like, you can kind of name a lot of the hats. But I think it's shaped me to be very diverse in my abilities. I wouldn't say I'm a pro in everything, but I can have a conversation, whether that's business or technology. And I think it's allowed our company, Fibonacci Solutions, to excel. So we started Fibonacci Solutions roughly about 10 years ago. I've got a partner with me. We came from the days of AT&T and T and IBM and Oracle, and we started off on a journey of, we were working together. We weren't friends. I always say, don't go in the business with your friends, because that's that's a challenge. But we were good acquaintances, and we worked well together. And we kind of liked how each other operated. He was a little more technical in data than I was. I was a little bit more business and project side than he was. And we said, hey, let's go off and do something on our own. So we started Fibonacci Solutions. We are based in North Carolina, to technology and consulting software development firm. We're focused on kind of helping companies build more like modern digital platforms, especially around data. I mentioned my partner is huge in data. He always says data's cash. That's one of his mantras, if you will, is everybody's got a lot of data, everybody's got a lot of systems, But we try to help those companies and organizations get the most out of their data and make sure their systems are talking to one another to make the most out of all of that data.
I love this. Before we get into data, your systems, how it
Yeah.
works, how you help your client base, my next question, Keith, how does showing and or utilizing authenticity help you to be the best in what you do in your industry and solve problems that your clients come to you to solve?
Yeah, some people don't want to hear the honest truth at times, right? And when we work with our customers, I always go into it with true understanding of what you're going to get from myself and from our team and from Fibonacci. But I also want that transparency back from the customer, right? We always start with an engaging conversation, discovery. We invest our time. We always try to look at people as an extension of their organization, not just a vendor that's going to come in and solve a quick problem and then go away. We really want to build relationships within our organization. And I think with that comes that authenticity side of it where they feel the investment early, they feel it often. One of our biggest customers we've had for 10 years are one of the largest steel manufacturers in the country. And part of that is just family. Just we believe every one of our customers is an extension of our family. And with that comes the authenticity factor, right?
Keith, this is great because, ladies and gentlemen, when you come across the people as family, as a partner, it's one of my favorite laws by my great friend, Mr. Bob Berg, who is a co author of the Go Giver series. He wrote that with John David Mann. Great book. The first law is the law of value. And that law states give far more value than you take
Mhm.
in payment. Again, give far more value than you take in payment. This way, you can really hold your head high, knowing that the work you've done has helped that company, that individual to move forward. So, Keith, first question, okay? Please talk to our audience about why your partner says data is cash. We were chatting about that over the weekend. We were training Nathan. While I was training Nathan, we were chatting during a little quick break. But I love that saying because, again, right, Keith, we brought somebody in for AI automation to help us with understanding how to create workflows and how data plays a huge part in that. So I'm seeing that firsthand with what we're doing. But again, please explain to our global audience why data is considered cash.
Sure. We always start with a little theme here where we always say companies don't have a software problem when they come to us. Right? A lot of people have actually brilliant ideas within their organizations, and they've got all of these systems and they've got all of these great ideas, but they struggle sometimes with execution. So we always say you don't necessarily have a software problem. And of course, software can help eliminate some of those challenges and those problems. But the more systems you start to implement, the more data you start to obtain. And then what are you doing with that data? And if you're not monetizing that data, monetization can be it could be anything, right? It could be selling your data. It could be getting the most ROI out of your data, making sure you understand trends and themes within your data. But we always say you probably have more of a data problem than a software problem. And that's how we kind of start to entertain those conversations, right? These disparate systems don't talk to each other well. There's a lot of great off-the-shelf software products, but they're purposely built to solve a particular problem, which is great. But with that comes more data. And then you've got another system with more data, another system with more data. And how do you then analyze the holistic picture of your organization with all of this data that you have, whether it's sales data, whether that's manufacturing data, you can go on, right? Of where you're not capitalizing on monetizing your data. And again, monetization doesn't necessarily mean selling the data, but it's making sure your organization is growing in the right direction based on using that data to help you grow. Make
Ladies and
educated
gentlemen,
decisions.
but again, Keith, this is fantastic because again, Data helps you to see trends. Data helps you to see how to grow. Data's telling you what's working, what's not. And this is where people need to understand this, right, Keith? And again, I would love to get into this because you talked about this on Sunday when we were out at training. You said that the work you all do helps people to do those tasks, those mundane tasks, right, Keith, that they either don't want to do or don't
Yeah.
have time to do. And again, those mundane tasks, right, Keith, they add up. They really start to pile up. And if you take care of them, great things happen. If you don't take care of them, if you neglect them, it becomes harder to grow your business because you're not doing everything you need to be doing from an operational standpoint. Please tell us more how your awesome organization, your software, what you all do helps companies to take care of not just the big things, right, Keith, but
Yeah.
also those small, mundane things.
Yeah, we started this conversation a little bit about you and I just now in this call. We started this conversation around the engagement process with these companies and these organizations, and trying to, again, you articulated well, push our values and our value that we can instill within their organization onto them. And that can mean, I always say there's two tracks within an organization. They've got 9 times out of 10, they cycle over. I like they do quarterly reviews of project planning. They do annual reviews of where do they want to get their organization, what do they need to instill, what's on their pipeline for initiatives that they want to solve for. And with that comes two events. One event is the top of the pile always gets done. But what also happens is things that were kind of mid on the pile always seem to kind of fall back down the ladder or to the bottom of the pile. And we always say we can help both, right? Because we want to be, and I mentioned it earlier, we want to be part of that organization's family. We don't want to displace anybody. We want to supplement anybody. We want to actually be a part of their organization, an extension of their team. So what does that mean? That means you can go two tracks. One, the great technology team or business owners, developers, whatever the case is, let them do the shiny, cool projects that are on top of the pile, right? Let their team feel like they're valued as well, and experimenting on new things like AI and building new agents and things like that. Let them grow within the organization and not feel like somebody's coming in to take their place. Well, who does the keep the lights on work? Well, we can come in and help do the keep the lights on work, right? The management side of the day-to-day operations within the organization. Doesn't always have to be a shiny new thing. Or we can do the flip. Maybe they have an organization where people are just content. They do really well with keeping the lights on. They know their systems. They know how they operate. They do their jobs really well and they're content. Well, we can come in and kickstart some of those shiny object projects and then hand them over to those teams to run the keep the lights on. So we try to look at it from two lenses, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, Keith, this is fantastic because what you all do is you all will do a plug and play. Wherever there's a gap, you all come in and you solve the problem. And this is exactly what we talk about to companies that we work with or people that come onto our podcast, why people need to always be very attentive in that regard. Because at the end of the day, here's the whole thing, right, Keith? People have to understand that in business, it's all about integrity, right? I'm reading this book called Integrity Based Selling, which is all about putting the client's needs before your own. And I
Yep.
know you embody that, Keith, at your organization. But here's my question. How do you all make sure that the work you do for clients, when the transaction is completed, how do you all make sure that everything else continues to move forward in that light? How do you all continue to make sure, right, Keith, that what you're doing and how you are is always in the client's best interest?
Um, I mean, it comes with the foundational start of the engagement and the relationship and building on top of that relationship. So, what I mean by that is, part of making money as an organization is what you would always think is selling time, right? My time is worth something. So every time I'm on a call, every time I'm doing work, it's billable, right? I should be charged for that. And that holds true, right, to some degree. But there's also a relationship side, there's a business growth side, there's a trust side that comes along with that. And we try to make those organizations feel like you can include us in other conversations within your organization as a trusted advisor or a subject matter expert or just a voice of reason, where it doesn't necessarily have to always equate to work tomorrow, but let us help guide you where we feel we can. And if that equates to something for us, great. But again, we're hoping that that family extension, that trust, that remembrance of, oh, Fibonacci was there. They were a great conversation in that meeting. Maybe they can actually help in this light, or maybe they don't, or maybe they know somebody that can help us in this light. So that's, I think, where we try to extend the conversation or extend the relationship outside of just, we did a thing, the thing's done, and the thing's over. We really want to continue being a voice for them or a sounding board for them if they have other conversations that they want us included in on.
Yeah, you know what, Keith? Because I feel anytime you're able to be an additional resource, sounding board, a place where people can go to get answers and know that they can trust your answers, and they can trust you to be there for them long after the transaction is completed. That's when you get that reputation where people come back to you over and over again. For example, we got hired for the fourth time in the last 15 months by Mass Mutual. Mass Mutual is not going to hire somebody four times in a short time span if you don't deliver. They're not going to do it because they're too large, too successful. They can hire anybody they choose. And so again, it comes back to that element. So I have a question for you, Keith. Please talk to our global audience. Walk us through how your software helps to connect different other parts of people's businesses to then gather more data to make it a full, comprehensive approach. Walk us through, because a lot of people that are listening, right? They said, man, this sounds really cool. I might want to, hire Keith or work with Keith. Give us more of a tactical action step, right, Keith? What that actually looks like from I'm now your client. Now we're going through the onboarding process. What does that look like? And how do you help bring everything together with your software?
Yeah, good question. So our organization actually has kind of two layers within it. So we've got what we've all just talked about, which is helping consult with organizations to make their business practices better. So what that means is custom software, custom analytics, custom investment into making their lives better, letting systems talk to one another in a more efficient way to get, again, monetize that data. The other side of our business is I would call it a little bit more of productized things, like you just said, like what are your products? And we do have some products. We're in some healthcare stuff right now with AI, with an automated transcript system that we're trying to launch. We've done some stuff in the cannabis space with Canopy AI, which is an AI platform. But to answer your question specifically, we we feel the world isn't about software anymore. And it is, but it's, I mentioned at the start of this, it's data, right? It's about data and its intelligence. And we really try to have the conversations around how can companies get better visibility into the data? How can that data be better automated within their footprint and platforms? And now with AI, how can you leverage AI to drive those insights? Because everybody thinks AI is the end all be all solution to everything, and it just might be. However, you still have to do the work around your data because AI doesn't understand your version of your data unless you build something smart within the AI that explains your data so that you then can monetize it and get the most out of it. So it's really trying to get AI to better understand your industry. I think that's where AI is probably going. And I know you didn't ask me an AI question, but we feel like AI is more understanding an industry is where its evolution is going to be. Right now, it's very open with Claude and Chat and these open source AIs. But if you can build an AI layer that's more industry specific, I think you're going to get more and more out of your data, right? Otherwise, it's just a confident guess, right? If you don't have good data, that AI can then leverage against and know about it, it's really, again, just a confident guess.
And you know
So,
what, Keith, let's go into AI, right? Can you please talk to our global audience about how you and your partner and your company are bridging both the human element of a business along with the AI element of a business to help serve your clients in the best and most efficient capacities?
we only have how many minutes left to talk about
we
AI?
got so you
I
got
mean,
you got 3 4 minutes, big guy.
holy cow. Where? What? I'm gonna quick talk here in a couple different areas. One, I think it's amazing right now what companies are trying to do with AI and building their own agents, trying to improve workflows within their organizations, everybody writing their own little thing of AI to make their lives and their day-to-day operations better. I think that's awesome, but I also think it's creating this unintentional trap, if you will, where you're not focusing on how AI can actually make your business smarter and better. I think everybody's focused on AI individually within their department or their group or their division. And yes, that echoes up to the business. But I feel like we're going to fall into a little bit of an unintentional trap where everybody's just so focused on the little mini agent that made their lives better for today, which is good. But again, how can you actually focus AI into making the business better? And that's where we talk about data. And I know I keep getting back to it, but real quick, and I only got another minute or so here, but if you look at data as a whole, and anybody that knows data, it's in database tables for the more or less or unstructured data. And everybody is looking at that data and thinking AI can just lay on top of it and it'll magically work. There's a layer out there, and you can research this, it's called an ontology makeup. So ontology is layman's terms of what is your data doing, right? What is a product ID? What is a description of that product? What are all those different attributes mean to your business so that the AI tools can actually stop making guesses at your data, but really understand your data. And I think that's where the evolution needs to get to, is building this ontology layer. And that's what we want to try to help organizations do, is build this data ontology layer so that you can leverage AI engines on top of your data and actually get the right monetized results that you want out of it.
You
Sorry,
know,
that was a
Keith,
lot of AI in a short amount of time.
no, this is Keith, but again, Keith, it's about taking AI and making it better and creating something that can then work in conjunction between the AI, the data for best information, best monetization. And that, my friend, is why people need to understand this is exactly where the world and the industry is going. And the more they are understanding of this, and the more they are forward thinking about this, I feel they're going to be in a better position when they do accept this and they do start making strides towards bringing this stuff in, building these different things you mentioned, combining that with AI, with your data to get, like you said, not just confident guesses, but get actual, real, again, build something where you can have AI give you an accurate, real pinpoint, not just a confident guess, because
Yeah,
that's going to go from there.
yeah, and our philosophy, and it's not a new philosophy, and it's maybe a forgotten philosophy to some degree, but we want to help build systems or connect systems where data actually drives decisions. It's always driven, it should, it has always driven decisions and should always drive decisions. But I think at times people forget that how powerful the data can actually do that work for you.
Keith, fantastic interview. If people want to connect with you, how and or where can they do so?
Yeah, go to our website, FibonacciSolutions.com. We also have, I mentioned, we've got some product stuff where we're actually getting into the cannabis space. Maybe we could do another session on that. But there's Canopy.ai is a website where we're trying to build some intelligence behind the cannabis space and stop that guesswork by the consumer as to what they should be using and doing. So we're building an app that you can download off of the App Store and get some intelligence about the cannabis space and industry and what products might help you best. So we're dipping into a lot of different areas, and it's exciting times right now. I
You know
appreciate
what?
you for doing this. This is great.
Oh, Keith, I'll tell you what, man. You're gonna get an email from my team member Abby, and you can pick a time to just connect with me. This will always talk on Sunday, and we're gonna rebook you on the show for another interview about Canopy and
Yeah,
to
sure.
help you do and really get that out to people that are in that space. So
Great.
exciting stuff. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the authentic tip of this great interview. I'm gonna really harp on what Keith has been saying this entire amazing interview. Data is cash. Data is a gold mine. The more you have access to accurate, up to date data, the more likely you are to ascend and elevate to where you want to in your business and with your organization. So please reach out to Keith and grab information instead of time to speak with him about how his organization can help you do just that. Again, my name is Marques Ogden. I am the host of the Get Authentic with Marques show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks, Marcus.
Recording stopped.
Great job, Keith.
Thanks. Yeah. This was fun. This was fun. I I felt good. I mean, it helps you and I know each other a little bit, right? So that
Yeah.
always
Yeah, it was great,
makes things a
man.
little smoother and easier. You threw me a couple of curveballs, but that was okay. That's part of this process is to put me on the spot and make me think, not have a whole bunch of scripted answers. But no, I thought it was fantastic. I appreciated it.
I'll see you on Sunday. Abby's going to email you. Pick a time on my calendar to connect. We'll chat about and we'll get you on for another interview to talk about your other business, okay?
You got it, sir. Have a good afternoon. Appreciate
See,
it.
see you Sunday, man. Oh,
Bye.
by the way, tell Nathan, great job with the podcast. He sent me yesterday.
Oh, yeah. He
Yeah.
was really good.
Tell him I said great work.
I will, sir. Bye.
See you soon. Bye bye. Okay, let's go. Let's bring him in.
How you doing, man?
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. James, this is my awesome producer, Ben Boquest. Ben says, this is James Bates, CEO of DataPath.
How you doing, Ben? Doing great. Doing great. I was just listening to the podcast from Ryan that was just released.
He's awesome. I like him a lot.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, it was cool. I listened to it this morning while I was on a walk.
Nice, man. Well, again, Ben, James is awesome. He'll give us a great interview. He is a great sponsor of our show. So, yeah, he's going to be awesome. Let's do it.
Recording in progress.
Yep.